This is the end of the year video, the last one of the year, the one that we talk about the best gear of 2025 or the best musical making app from the iPad or for the Mac or for the PC that exists today that was released in 2025. This is the video. Nope, it's not. It's not at all. Not going to talk about that because we talked about it all year long. And honestly, the best is the one you can afford and is the one thing that you can use to make music. So what I'm going to do today instead, I'm going to give you my 5 best tips on making music, making it so that whatever you buy or you have, you actually go into making music with it. So, here's for my best music making tips of 2025. So the first thing is look around in your studio. Look at what you have. You probably have enough to make music. Most people have more than enough to make a song. You know, there's some songs that are just piano and voice and guitar and voice, and that's it. A good song is a good song. I know electronic music asks for more electronic sound than just a guitar. I get it. That's why I'm into electronic music also. But you don't need the latest piece of gear to do it. You don't need 25 different synthesizers to make it. Of course, if you can, there's no limit. Go ahead. But most people, they have a limit into their spending, and there's actually a limit into their time into making music, and the focus to learning all these different tools to make music. And at one point, you're not making music anymore. I'm not saying that you should be making music, but if that's the case, if that's what you want to do, and if that's the place that you feel good about, I know that I enjoy creating music, not just the end product, but the whole process of making music. It's just playing music. It's playing. It's fun. And if it stops being fun, that's where I have a problem. And that's what I lived this year. At one point I was like, I don't like it. I don't like making music this way. Let's change it. So first of all is revisit what you have. See what you have, hardware, software, and just use what you have first. Because it will force you into using a certain process or workflow of what you have. At the same time, it means learn your gear. Verify that you have the latest firmware update. You might find that your synthesizer or groovebox or drum machine or sampler now can do stuff that it could not do before. That's a good place to start. At the same time, you might look at your stuff and go, you know what? I haven't used it for 5 years. Why is that? Just take a moment to think about why is that. Maybe you just don't like something, and it doesn't have to be that you like what everybody else is like. What I mean by that is you might have the greatest groove box that everybody goes, oh, this is the bomb for all this stuff. And you go, I don't like it. I don't like the interface. I don't like looking around. I can't find what I'm looking for. Not for me. And it's fine. Just take that in and decide on your next step. I mean, basically learning it, if that's what you want to try, or get rid of it and buy something that you find fun, that helps you along the way make that journey into music a pleasant one. It doesn't have to be difficult. We do it for fun. We do it because we like it. When you look at what you have in your studio, think about each piece of gear. Why did you buy it first? Why did you buy that? What's the part of it that you found interesting enough to pay for it? As you use it, is there one thing that makes it stand out? Is it one thing that makes it unique? Is it one thing that makes it interesting for you to still use it? And that will help you understand and revisit your gear. I have a lot of hardware that is rack mount here, and every time I move it around in the studio, I go, I'm going to use it and never use it. And after 5 years of saying I'm going to use it, I'm basically going to use it once, make a video for you guys to show you how they work, because if you find it on the used market, you might want to learn how it works. So I'm going to make videos about it, maybe a couple of sound banks, and I'm going to get rid of it. The money will be towards buying new stuff to help me, making music. The second point would be to revisit your workflow, because by revisiting your gear, you're also thinking about how am I going to use it. And this year, I went through that process. That's a big part of this year because I decided to sell my, last year I sold my MC707. This year I sold my TR8S, and everybody goes, oh, well, that's a big piece of gear. It's something that people like, and I know it's really good. But if I find that I'm not using it in my songs, why am I keeping it? It doesn't mean it's bad. I don't perform live. So it's a performance drum, not for me. At one point, I found that after, I think I had it for 4 years, I went like, okay, let's get rid of it. Let's sell it because I'm going to get a good money out of it. Somebody else will be using it. I prefer that somebody uses the gear than me having it on the shelf just taking dust. And at the same time, I can use the money for something else, which I did. Because I bought this year a drum log, and I bought a Elektron Syntakt. So these are the things that, part of a workflow, I revisited how I'm using the gear that I have, or I'm not using it, and I went into the fact that I'm gonna sell some stuff because I'm not using it. So that's one thing. At the same time, by buying new gear, I rethought my workflow. I thought about the ways I'm using it. What's the part that is the most tedious in your work? What is the part that you go, oh, got to get to that part into making my songs? I find it hard. Try to flip it around. Try to figure out another way to create that you don't get into that section. Or, again, it might be the answer of changing softwares or changing hardwares so that the workflow becomes more natural and more the way you feel that it should be, I sometimes started, in the past, I started a lot of music on my iPad, and then I move on to the computer and the software and the hardware to be able to finish the songs. Right now, I want to switch it around and start on hardware, using the Elektron Syntakt as the centerpiece, mostly to drive everything else. It doesn't mean I won't use my Mac or my iPad, but to create the first, I think, core of the song, I prefer to use one piece to build what I feel is the demo of the song, and then flesh out with the rest of it. And in the case of what I have here, I have enough to make a song flawless, but I don't look at it that is flawless, it's the way to go. It's just that I feel that when I'm using hardware, it's more instant because there's less menu, less diving, and it's just there. I turn it on, and I can go down in the studio, turn on the machine, work half an hour, a couple of ideas, save it, close it, and it's done. It's just instant. Just half an hour, I could have just another bright idea really fast, and it works. So that's the second one. Revisiting your workflow. It will affect a lot of things in the way you work. If you have everything you need, then the workflow might be simply changing stuff around to get inspired. Just starting on a different piece of gear. Starting with the melody, starting with the bass, starting with the drum instead, just switching that around. 3, try to make a song that include each of your pieces that you have. What I mean by that is, it doesn't mean that your song needs to have everything in it, but try to use at least each of the piece of the gear that you have into one of the songs that you make in this year. Saying, okay, I've got 5 pieces of gear, I'm going to make 5 songs, and I might start with these different models just to bring myself into using them, and I might remember or find ways that these today do things that I never tried before, and it might be this trigger of a new song and a new way of approaching it. So that's number 4 now. Keep the archives of all your work in progress. It doesn't have to be finished songs. Everything that you work on, you're working on, you're creating stuff. And if you're like me, you have got tons of songs that were never finished or never released. I still have these projects. Some of them are 30 years old, never released. I have, an audio tape cassette, demo that I did at the time. And when I listen to them, I actually like some part of it. I go, okay, that's a cool intro. That's a cool riff over there. That's a cool. And then I could reuse that today, not the whole song, but parts of it, and say, I could do something now starting with this. It's like, instead of remixing somebody else's work, I can remix some of my work making it to a new song. Nobody know that it's actually a remix of a song that I did 20 years ago that nobody heard. So I'm using my stuff as a trigger for new songs. Now, it means that you need to export into files that will live independently of the model of the software used. You know, I've got songs made on Performer before it was digital Performer. I have a problem. I need to find old Performer software on an old Mac to be able to open it and save it as a MIDI file. I have some songs that I save as a standard MIDI file that I can now open into any DAW and work on it, at least take the part that I like and work on it. I also have audio files that I recorded these tracks, so I can also sample my stuff if I need to, because I've got these sounds. Sometimes I have the riff, but I don't have the sound. I mean, I have the melody, the MIDI file, but it doesn't trigger the sound because I don't have the machine anymore. But if I have the recording, I can still sample my stuff like people sample from, you know, vinyl or whatever. I can sample myself instead. So keep your stuff. You know, worst case scenario, burn it on DVDs and keep it on the side as a copies of what you did years ago. You might revisit it at one point and go, well, that intro was cool, that ending was cool, that part was there. Might not be how I would do it today, but I could start with this and just be triggered into creating something new. 5, find different ways to get inspired. And I've been talking about all this since the beginning, is revisiting your old songs, sample your own stuff, remix some of your own songs, even make a loose cover of somebody else's work. You like an artist, you want to learn more about how he composed and how he structured the song, try to recreate that. But as you do it, I say loose, as you do it, you might say, well, let's now, because I understand at one point, even if I haven't finished a song, I understand how the other song is made. By making it, it might want to take his own way and then just accept that the song becomes something else. And when you listen to it, people go, oh, you got inspired by this? Yeah, of course I am. I'm a fan. So don't copy it, but make a loose cover of it just to learn, at the same time get inspired by it. What I used to do also years ago is that I would actually use a sample that I like. Could be like a drum of a song, a riff of a song, and I would use that sample as a loop, and I would create a song around it. And when I had everything else ready, I would take out that loop that I don't have the right to use, and then the rest of the song still had the body, the structure that I like, and that I would replace that loop with new stuff, either other loops or I would create a new part. And I basically got inspired by the other song, but in the end, I recreated everything the way I wanted. So I just got the groove that I liked, or I liked the vibe that came from that other song, and then I just created everything else, and then replaced it at the end with something else. So that's another way to just get inspired. This year, as I looked into my studio and I decided that I needed to change stuff around. If I don't use it, get rid of it. That's how I looked at it, because I can explore new ways, like I'm exploring the Elektron right now, the Syntakt, and I approach it as a different way of making the sequence, and it gives me ideas that I didn't have on the stuff that I had before. It also brought me back by using the drum log that has also a sample you can put in and load your own sample. I went back into using sample, which is something that I haven't used for probably 20 years. All my songs from the 90s used a lot of samples, and sometimes the only thing I have was I had 3 different samplers playing all these samples. So I've got these songs that I could revisit today. I've got these samples I could reuse today, but I don't have a sampler per se. So I've been thinking about buying a new sampler. And after a while, I said, wait a minute. Let's not get into buying a new sampler. Let's look around at what I have in the studio that can do sample. And I've got 2 things. I've got the Roland VP9000, which is a weird sampler, and I'll do another video about it because it's the first very phrased elastic audio device that exists. It was made in 2000. It doesn't work with sample the way most stuff works with samples. I'll come back to that later. But Micro Freak is a synthesizer, but you could put your sample in it. And I found a great way to actually have each of the keys trigger a different sample. So I'm going to dive into that. It just answers my new workflow with the Syntakt as the main unit, and one of the track will trigger the micro freak to get the sample playback that I want. So I'm exploring that, and I'm going to come back to you with this. If you have any question for everything I talked about today, put the question below. I want to thank you a lot for this year, for following me, for supporting my videos, now to go on Patreon and supporting me on Patreon. I'm close to 25,000 subscribers. For me, I never thought I'd be that. This is a hobby that I do. I have a full-time job, I have a family, and I do this weeknights and weekends for fun, and hopefully you get something out of it. I hope you have a wonderful year in 2026, and like always, make more music. Cheers.